If you're catching the replay, welcome. I'm Steve. Mark's around. Say hi, Mark. What was that, a croissant? And this is Smokeysteveandmarc. Welcome or welcome back and happy Sunday. It's good to be married. Good to be married. Find your married man a hat. So I hope everyone is well. I hope everyone is safe. It's going to be a beautiful week here from what I heard. So there is that. The weather outside is really nice today. For like a usual Sunday, Mom and Dad came down for a visit. I hadn't seen Mom mobile outside of wherever since she had her surgery. I haven't seen her out of the house. So they came down for some fresh air. Mark was out in the garden doing a little this, little that. Anyhow, it's fine. Thank you. So, Janet, hello. Annie, hello. There we go. That's better. So, yeah, I was saying, nothing too crazy. Same old here. I see you guys coming in. Janet, Annie, Mike, hello. Shaken but not stirred. Yes, you did make it. You did make it. So, for lunch or dinner, we're going to have a cheese sandwich. Because if it's good enough for the homeless, it's good enough for me. So there is a reference to that. Chantal decided she was going to go sacrifice croissants. A handful of them. Whatever she didn't finish, she was going to give away. So last week when we were here, we checked in on just a couple of topics. We had talked about her inability to really be alone, her inability to be in a relationship, and her inability to tell the truth. Truth isn't one of her strong suits. We were following over her apology video. So she had trashed Salva and his family quickly, trashed his family, expected to be treated like a princess for it. And when she wasn't, Salva got mad, told her off, said, I don't want anything to do with you. You called my family dogs. I don't know. It's a tricky move to walk it back with him and have him be okay, but not the family. Not the family. So she apologized for running her mouth. Now, bear in mind, I don't think she used the word sorry at any point. She just said all the things that she did. She left out a few nasty ones and made sure to include that other people have hurt her too. That's not an apology. That's not how that works. Hey, Marlene. So today there's a few topics, not necessarily in any order. She's gone AI crazy with making pictures and editing herself. I mean, it's one thing to use filters. It's quite another to shave 150 pounds off your waist. It's not a crime, but if you're showing that picture as anything other than fun art and trying to at all pretend it's a version of reality, you know. So, the AI picture stuff, she had rented a car, but then decided to return it early. I don't even know why I got the car. That's fishy. Why would she turn down wheels? That's how she gets to her fast food. So whatever she needed the car for, I guess she doesn't. Or it was in Aunt Phil's name, because Chantal has bullshit credit. So somebody else had to get it and let her use it and has to take it back. Or she still has the car and is just playing close to the vest so that when she goes to visit friends late at night or in the evening, that there's a reason for it. So she can disappear off the radar and people think, oh, well, she must be at home. She returned the car. But did she? So, whooshy. Rental car. ChatGPT is her best medical friend and confidant. She's referring to it like Star Trek times where it's like, computer, and then you just ask questions. Now, Alexa kind of started in that kind of way. You would just speak into the air and a robot would answer you, and a machine would answer you. So she's treating that particular app as a way to seek advice for relationships and advice for health and all that kind of stuff. She's not going to ask it the hard questions. Like, how about you ask, what is the life expectancy of a 40-year-old woman who is 250 pounds overweight and diabetic and I don't think she'd like the answer. So, well, welcome, just catching alive. So that's the chat thing. She blew up at the Beezers and everybody because they're sick of her bullshit drive around and eat content, and she's decided it's not she that needs the changing, it's the audience. So she essentially told people who were bored with her content to fuck off and go find something else to watch, because 200 to 400 people out of the 100,000 are tuning in to catch her bullshit. So, and she doesn't want to talk about her relationship. This happens every week or so, sometimes twice a week, where she doesn't want to say anything out about the relationship, good or bad. She doesn't want to talk about Sala, whether we're together, we're not together. I assume they're not, and that this is continuing as it had with her sending him messages and him sending courtesy replies. And rather than have it look like her man just doesn't care about her very much, she would frame it as, oh, he's just a man of few words. You know, English isn't his first language. There's 300 excuses as to why he can't say something nice to her. So, I don't know what to tell you. So, talking about exes, relationships, doesn't want to do it anymore. And then, of course, so where is she? So I have her on audio if she hops on. I have my other phone with me. But in the meantime, just to dive in and have our cheese sandwich, which some people think Natter is in the picture secretly. I think it's very possible. She's lied about bigger stuff. She's lied about smaller stuff. You know, I think people would probably understand if she said, look, I've spent 3 years in a sham marriage. I know where to get some fun, and I'm going to go get it. Now, we can only judge Chantal on what she shows us, not what she actually is doing. Sala wouldn't come online and talk a bunch of bullshit about how jealous he is, that she this, that, the... He don't care. I'm really pretty sure he doesn't care. And could you blame him? He had to move, deal with his family, deal with her being there like a fucking giant anchor in an abaya that was like, you need to take care of me. It's all I can imagine is her sitting in a back room in their residence with the door shut and the air on, and everyone's like, is she going to eat dinner with us? Is she ever going to sleep? Is she ever going to wake up? She did not adapt to the family she married into. That's on her. You know, you say the magic words, you go to the magic kingdom. So you want to be married, act like it. Or do you want the cred of being able to say, somebody loved me enough, or somebody thought I was attractive enough to marry? It's proof of love. Sala's always been proof of love. And Sala's not an awful looking man. He's okay, whatever age she's lying about. He's okay. Handsome enough that people had gone on to AI and were making tons and tons and tons of AI photos of them with Sala. It was funny. Sala straight up told, exactly. He said, don't come. And she did. And then what do you do with her? What do you do with a woman who comes and is going to probably hold shit over your head and says, I'm at the airport, come get me? A less nice person would have just left her there, you know, and be like, hey, sorry, these were the plans. I told you not to come here. And then you were miserable, which is why I told you not to come here. She acts like it's a big surprise that he wasn't able to meet all her needs in Syria. Where did you think you were moving? And with who? This guy doesn't bend over backwards to make sure all your needs are met unless it comes to takeout. So, whatever. That's them. That's their journey. But yeah, people were all sorts of... I can't stand it. Crooked. It's still crooked. I'll live with it. People were putting their pictures up with him. People putting cartoons in with him. She loves to play AI so that she can, like, think that she looks different than she does. But other people playing with it is thirsty. Nobody wants your husband. They're acting that way because you're the joke. Because if that's you, it could easily be anybody else. Playing with AI and presenting as reality are like two different things. I went into ChatGPT and I said, it was a picture of Mark and I said, make us 18 and 150 pounds. And we looked like jailbait. Quick. So, yeah, the AI stuff is not all that it could be. She's very proud of herself, out and about. You know, she's all about the base till that Ozempic or that nose candy comes through. So we're all big and beautiful until we find an easy way to lose weight and meet new friends. So she put up one photo of her, a side-by-side, where she had cinched her waist. Now, the absolute opposite is true of Chantal in person. The circumference of her waist is bigger than anywhere else on her entire body. She decided to cinch it. She just cinched the abaya right around the waist. It didn't look right. It didn't look good. The AI wasn't able to. You know, AI is getting better, but it's not perfect. And she always is saying with these photos, oh, I'm just trying on different abayas and I want to, or hijabs, and I want to see how they look on me. They're not going to look like you have a waist. It's Not going to happen. And if you put on a piece of clothing that fits, then do the AI and be able to say, look, I fit into a 3X. No, you stretched the picture of a woman in a 5X to try to, the other photographs she had, which again are very much not her, not even close. She said, well, I didn't need to change my face. I don't need to change that. I just need to, work on. So she didn't change the face. She doesn't get it. She doesn't get it. And the fact that she thinks people were thirsty to be in a picture with Sala to the point where it's weird that they use AI photos. People play with AI photos. I just said I did. It's a fun thing to do. But it's a difference between artificial intelligence and artificial truth. Or alternative facts might be a better way to frame what she's putting out there. In somebody's eye, she probably looks like that. But she hasn't had a waist thinner than her chest. Maybe she was 3. Do we hear 4? She was always a big person. She took advantage of showing some pictures from when she was younger. So she took her 18-year-old face and put it on a hijab and then tightened it. It looked like kind of like the Nightmare Before Christmas a little bit, with the big head and the skinny arms, that kind of thing. There was another picture that had popped up and I thought, God, this guy has really big hands. I think it was somebody else who was kind of cut into it. So we love that apple shape of ours, and big is beautiful, until there's an easy way to change the way I look. When she's shopping for men across the pond, she's probably not too married to the idea of, well, I don't exactly look like this. It's one thing to say it's an old picture. It's another to say it's made up. That's different. Old picture, you don't look like that anymore. When you add AI, you try to take a younger, thinner version of yourself. And I'm not immune from that. I always think, oh, I don't look good in this picture. I should stand sideways. I should do this. I should flaunt. So when I was super duper uncomfortable with my weight, I lost some. I know that's easier than said. And I lost mine when I was in high school. So there was a fair amount of pressure that I felt from nobody, but that I felt that I needed to be thin. The AI community posted they're not even close. The face isn't close. And I don't just mean toning down the rosacea so it looks like blush. I mean, you have to make adjustments that make her look not human, because you need to make so many of them. And she's got pretty privilege. And I think when she says pretty privilege, she means this, and that's it. Not much else. She would probably want to find a guy who didn't mind that she was obese, but what she sells, according to her, her best feature is her face, and everything else is just extra. Now, you can fat fish a little bit. I've fat fished. No shame in the game. I haven't, not lately. So I've been in that position where I've been like, oh, I can forgive 10 pounds. The photo's not that old. And I think I told you guys, I was using my high school yearbook photo till I was 22. That's not honest. There's a difference between it's an old picture and I'm lying, it's fake. Just because you were the original source of the picture, when it's been dolled up, you look different. I mean, because then how do you explain that when you get off the plane and you just hope he doesn't see you in profile at all until she lands? Because she's big in the stomach. She's got all that heart attack weight right around. Yeah. Why you always lying? Why you always lying? Why you fucking lying? Yeah. Back in the day. That was, yeah. So while I don't think the AI is any more than what it is, I think people see her using it for what it is. You want to play make-believe. Take a picture. This is how your husband would look at you if he loved you. This is how you would look at your husband if you respected him. So, she AI'd herself completely different person younger. Yeah, it doesn't even look like her at that age. And, it wouldn't be a big deal except for the fact that I know she lies about her size. I know she lies about her size. She'll say big, and people are like, oh, yeah. No, she's being dishonest. She's super morbidly obese to the point where she needs devices to help her navigate the world. So that's not a skinny legend with a, 36, 24, 36. On Mars, I don't think she would ever, no. It looks funny because it is funny. And remember, she's very, very proud and very, very confident in herself, which she's not at all. But she tries to play that off like she's totally unbothered. I wish she was more bothered by the food on her abaya or blowing her nose with it. With your hijab, blowing your nose? Oh, I got a runny. Where's the Shroud of Turin? I'm getting a few drops here. I gotta blow my nose on it. Yes, she loves herself so much that she can't help but alter every photo of her. Now, I can see people who want to like look their best, and I'm sure Mark has brushed out a few lines here or there on photos that we've taken. So I'm not saying above it all, this is a natural beauty and you're full of shit. I'm not trying to come at it like that. But let's not confuse a fake image of ourselves with a real one and then try to sell that fake image because she's not really participating in everybody else's reality. So to her, it probably looks fine. She probably thinks she looks like that. She probably thinks she can talk around it. You know, she makes up for the wait upon first meeting. Remember when she met Frank? I think it was Frank. It was like the token white guy that she had. She met him in the car because when you're sitting next to Chantal, it's not as obvious how short and large she is. Not that short makes you ugly. Not that large makes you ugly. But if you're so thrilled with it, why do you tweak all the pictures? Why would you try to meet someone maybe? She says she's not. I'm with my husband. It's behind the scenes. We don't know this. We don't know that. I know. It's certainly not exactly what it looks like, right? So, all about size acceptance until she's a little fat and she wants to change it. It's all well and good to have, you know, when you're young, your skin's tight and it looks good. And then before you know it, you're over 40 and we're talking dialysis Bs. Or, you know, renal failure Bs. And other things. There's plenty of big people too that don't have type 2 diabetes, but that's not the case for her. And trying to reverse some of the symptoms of it is totally doable. You know, my dad was able to do that after he was bigger waist and they said you're a type 2 diabetic, so he changed his diet. He was always pretty active, but he changed his diet and now it's one less pill to take. You know, he takes the metformin kind of prophylactically. I take it every day because I take Zyprexa. It's an antipsychotic medication and it can make you hungry. It can screw with insulin resistance, all sorts of fun stuff. So the metformin is supposed to help offset that a little bit. To be perfectly frank, from this time last year, I've gained about 30 pounds or so. I was coasting at the high 180s at the end of me being too sick to do anything, me having anxious stomach to the point of vomiting multiple times a day. To the point where it was happening on the weekends. Like, there's no stress and I was still being freaked out. So it goes. She's not participating in her own reality either. Yes, this whole agreed upon version of the world that we all have, she's not in it. She's not there because this is the only talking she does all day. She doesn't, you know. All right, so enough of her fake life. If it makes her fake happy, then I'm fake happy for her. So, rental cars. She was going out with Aunt Phyllis, apparently, and she ended up getting a rental. And there's questions whether or not she could get a rental in her own name because she has shitty credit, bankruptcies, and the like. So there was discussion maybe the aunt got it, and Chantal was just being able to use it. Chantal deciding that she wants to turn in the rental car early that's not her call. Something happened because she'll keep the wheels as long as she can and make another few McDonald's runs. On my way to go home and eat dinner, I'm going to stop up for an iced coffee and a couple of cheeseburgers before I go home and eat this entire dinner. I don't know. Aunt Phyllis, Uncle Phil. That's the name that goes around. I haven't really paid much attention. I just know that this is the only relative that really stays in touch with Chantal. So, and like I said, rabbits don't have squirrels. Sometimes personalities like that run in the family. Hard to say. But what could have came up? She said, quote, I don't know why I rented one. You know why you rented one. Or people have been suggesting why she might have. People were saying, well, maybe she went to go see her ex. You know, people said it out loud. They said it in the farms. There's other places. They think she probably is going to see her ex. Now, Chantal is not burdened by dignity or self-respect. So it wouldn't be a surprise if she did go and see him. The last hint of it that we thought maybe she had run into him was when Natter had released photos of what looked like the back of Chantal's head. And why did it look like her head? Because it had short, thin, dark hair. And how many people does Natter get behind in that angle, really? Which is also an angle where she couldn't see it. So whether or not that's her is a reflection of her honesty. Him showing pictures is him being a scumbag. So those two things are happening, I think, happen at the same time. Having said that, with the car, talking about food and talking about driving, because that's what she had done for the last few videos, there's been earnest feedback from the chat that they're sick of just driving and eating and driving. And she took exception to that, as though, you know, she was defending that by saying, hey, you don't like it, you can watch something else. I think most of the people who like her tolerate this kind of content. And she doesn't want anyone to talk about her weight or her sex life, but what's she got going on except being fat and playing reindeer games with some guy across, you know, a couple oceans who I'm sure is not going out of his way to be in touch with her. Now, the 21st just came and went. So was he around? Only her hairdresser knows for sure. I think she's playing reindeer games trying to get Natter's attention, not necessarily to sleep with him or see him, though she would. She's lied about less. So, I mean, why not? But fool me once, shame on you. If I hook up with a person and then afterwards I need antibiotics for something, you know, I don't know. That's on you. And if you go back to the well and drink the water again, you know, she might not have known what she was getting into when she initially met Natter. I think the fact that she was doing hard drugs she never tried but said she had to sound cool led to her being violently ill the first time she visited there. So that was no ghost hunting. She was just driving around. She can't put up on the Foodie Beauty channel. She put up a couple of these vlogs. They're not terribly long. And they're not really well watched. Maybe like, hey, Leslie, maybe a few thousand views, 3 to 4 or 5. I mean, it'll tack up probably closer to 8 as like the month goes on. But people aren't interested in what she's doing anymore. There's kind of a voyeuristic thing, I think, for people who like to watch someone her size navigate life. You know, there's a reason people watch 600-pound life. It's either they're pretty big or they know someone who is. There is kind of a objectified freak show kind of feel to 600-pound life. I used to like it when it was an hour long, and now it's like, forget it. I don't want to watch 2 hours of someone who doesn't even get better by the end. People do love, they tune in for the rages to see her upset, and of course she'll insist she's not upset, but as soon as that pinky comes out, all bets are off. And if she's hurt, she will go scorched earth, as she did with Sala when she didn't hear back from him immediately. So she went on a tear using a bunch of racist and bigoted language to describe his family. If he forgives that, he's a sucker. What is she providing that is so important that he would put up with this level of nonsense? And I think they don't take it personal. I think they probably think it is nonsense because it's all her mentals. So they don't take it particularly seriously. And she gets to hide behind the cultural veil of, oh, they don't have mental illness there. I don't think he understands the depth of my mental illness. That card comes out after a fight, usually. One where she says, I don't know what I was thinking. I just get mad. You know how I get when I get mad? That's abuser language right there. Don't make me angry. You know how I get. You want to fall against the coffee table again? Anyway. So what should the Beezers talk about in the chat? What should they be bringing up to talk about? It's her relationship and food. What does she want everyone else to do? She wants 50,000 people to watch her drive around and say, oh, look, spooky. Ooh, look, creepy. And just make shit up because it's easy to do. Content, real content, honestly, I think is easier than 8 hours of live. Now, she dies and lives for attention. So 8 hours of all eyes on her, she's probably just having a moment with herself over that. So that happened. If she stopped talking about eating and health and sex, what would she talk about? What should we be talking about? She has a very interesting position that she's not looking for feedback, doesn't want it. So she turns off the thumbs up, maybe highly edits the comments, because she doesn't want it to look negative. For new people coming to her channel, she does want to make it look like most of the people don't like her, or most of the people that comment don't like her, at least. The problem with Chantal relying so heavily financially on YouTube is that it's her only income, far as we know. Unless she has any side gigs that involve food and men, which those are her favorite topics, so it very well may. She has her plain old regular income coming in. Now, she's still going on Kick, but not as much, and then on YouTube, but not as much. So she really likes, I think, the vibe of Kick because you don't have to do anything. I think the audience maybe expects less because it is for streaming, and that talking on the Foodie Beauty channel is just kind of keep things going to try to keep the numbers up. All she would have left after that would be gross, farting, nose picking. Exactly. And as long as we're nose picking, let's make some food for the homeless. All right. So I'm going to have my cheese sandwich while we talk about theirs. So Chantal decides on an idle day that she's going to go pass out food to the homeless. Okay. She bought a shit ton of croissants and probably feels like she should give the rest away. So she said as much that she had them. She's like, yeah, with cheese on them. Cheese sandwich is okay, you know. And she said she felt better giving out sandwiches because, you know, they're going to use it for drugs, so I might as well just give them food. You don't know what everyone's buying, who you give money to on the street. You can decide before finding out that it's just for drugs and refuse. You know, that's an option. You want to donate food. A lot of places will take your money, which is better than the food that you'd provide. Not that it's not a nice gesture. I just think it was rather performative to go out and do it. I mean, she's right up there with marathon Bible readings on Capitol Hill. It's a display. It's a show. She's not really that nice. She was basically just taking her garbage and throwing it out of the car. She is always talking about drugs. But if she can afford it, I think she doesn't think it's an issue, as long as she doesn't have to beg, borrow, or steal to get it. Croissant Gate. Wouldn't that be it, though? Wouldn't that be totally it? So I work in and around individuals who have mental health concerns, and unfortunately, a lot of folks who have mental health issues can't find or keep stable housing. And there's a place where I work that's open to the community, people who are getting mental health services. Half of them are like homeless or unhoused or only housed so often or couch surfing, you know. And it's so important for someone getting well to not only stop addiction and stop the process and all that, it's all the other stuff that goes with it. It's the whole behaviors and the lifestyle and the dishonesty and the dishonesty and the dishonesty. Bueller. Chantal did not invent selfishness and self-centeredness, but she does it particularly well. Making the sandwiches, wrapping it in the old wrap from the chicken. I mean, this makes the case for why you shouldn't eat at other people's homes, because you don't know what their kitchen's like. Now, Chantal, we know. So no, I wouldn't be, you know. The croissants are an interesting twist. It's a little bougie, but hey. And if you want to give something, your time is good to help out people in that situation. Giving money directly to food banks and stuff. My mom she's retired, but she works at a food pantry now. And those organizations are able to take that money and better use it to get better deals with purchasing food from larger vendors and stuff. So it's not just, you know, you get what you get. A lot of time food pantries have like just the basics and then weird shit almost no one wants, no matter how hungry they are. So if she were to donate money, that would probably help more people. It also, you know, if she wants to film herself writing out the check and handing it because she wants the credit for it, I don't know. Coming up past Easter, I was Catholic, so there was the season of Lent. And in Lent, one of the things you're supposed to do is not bitch about being hungry. When I was growing up, it was always in school, what are you giving up for Lent? Everyone had to pick one thing, and it was usually candy or chocolate or soda or something like that. But Lent being a time to dial back, to be less attached to pleasure, to be more focused and more spiritual. That kind of thing. So, hold on a second. I just got lost in almost saying something that was probably rather inappropriate. So the Beezers can't talk about her weight. They can't talk about her man. What's she going to talk about? Her weight and her man. If you don't want feedback and you don't want comments, don't say it in a chat with a comment section. You know, if you just want to hear yourself talk, then go talk. You know, what would my grandmother say? Oh, she's as happy as if she were right. Great grandma had some shade that she would throw, apparently. I was 6 months old when she died. But she, Irish Catholic, back in the day kind of vibe. That's just what I grew up with. So on our channel, Mark and I have a history of addiction, both. And we both have issues with weight, off and on. So we could, based on experience, make video after video after video of the two of us talking about food and this and that. But if I came on and was upset about my weight for whatever reason, and let's say I did have another like 70 or 80 pounds to lose, I could see coming into a live, airing my grievances and getting some support from subscribers. But if I do this to them every 6 to 8 weeks when I decide I want to do something different, no, you guys are supposed to support me this way today, but that way tomorrow. And if I change my mind and want to stop talking to you guys, that's my business. And if you ask too many questions, I just won't ever tell you what's happening, and you'll never know. That was another abusive line she threw out with the cat. People were asking about BBJ. And so to abuse the chat, she said, well, I'll just take care of her and you'll never know what happened. Someone said that to her at some point, because that's a little too abusive to just fly out of somebody's mouth. You're going to leverage control. You're going to take people's feelings, their concern. You're going to call it insincere so you can blow it off, but you're motivating for me to stay sober. Thanks, Trinka. I'm no unicorn. You know, people get well all the time, more often than maybe a lot of us would think. So Bea's in the chat. No, she talks about her relationship with food, but any feedback is not welcome. If she stopped talking, what would she talk about? Her travel vlogs are garbage. I think one of the bigger things that she tried to sell Sala, which fell through, was that they were going to be traveling together. And it seems like he does like traveling. Like when they went to the other places they were visiting, went to Thailand, he would be up and out because he's a young man and is interested in traveling. She's interested in hotel rooms and takeout. So while all of Kuwait is happening outside, she's in here playing on TikTok, eating, and then telling people that, you know, they're too interested in the fine details of her life, that she doesn't have to share everything. What put that up against her ripping ass during streams, sniffing her rolls, and similar. And to think Sala was turned off. To think, I'd rather sleep with a cousin than sleep with Chantal. She just doesn't take very good care of herself. And if you call her on that, she feels personally attacked. So if she's losing like Beezers, like when Teardrop's gone, it's gone. But there's been other teardrops. Anyone remember Karate Joe, the PDF that she had in her chat, who was like shot caller? I just got a text from CVS to go get a hepatitis B vaccination, of all things. She admit him walking around Thailand by himself is because they were fighting and he would leave. I believe that's because, I mean, I would want to go. And then when he would go out by himself, mounted the phone so she can see what he's seeing. That is the laziest way to stalk. I mean, that's so lazy. And if you don't trust your partner, you're not going to suddenly start trusting them more. First thing out of her mouth whenever another woman's name is mentioned near or around Sala. Kybella, Kybella, Kybella. She will never let it go. I mean, this is for Sala's peace of mind. She will never let it go. She's not evolved enough as a person to put that in perspective, take a lesson from it, and keep it moving. She's not going to. So she's going to run Sala off eventually, and the money's not going to be enough. And how dare he refuse her? I think that's kind of the tone Chantal gets. Like when she popped over to Natter's and tried to open the door. How dare these men refuse her? How dare they say no to her? They're blessed to have her attention, you know. You'll get her attention. You'll get her attention, and then she'll be sitting outside 3 a.m. blasting music. Or she will just show up high in the middle of the night. That happened with Natter one time. She lied about where she was going. And then he was on and said, no, 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 and dragged her high as fuck with her wig on, which is interesting because he's a drive away from where she was, unless she drove there stone sober and got wrecked in the car before she went up to go visit him. So Chantal, rule number one is not new. Chantal lies. Rule number two is that she usually gives herself away. If she's exposed as lying, she will always dial the qualifications. So basically, if you're a viewer, it doesn't matter if she lies to you because it's none of your business. The premise is that nothing is anybody's business. And if she does bring her business to her chat, they are not allowed to say anything other than, oh, poor you, oh, you're a brave woman, oh, this. If anyone has a suggestion that involves changing, even if it's for the better, she doesn't want to hear it. I don't come here for that. Okay, well, what do you come here from? What do you come to YouTube for? Aside from being paid. What else? She's got nothing going on, no real plans to speak of. She's just hanging out, and that's fine for some people, but she can't sustain, I think, a long income on just being herself, like with the eating and the driving. That's all there is to do. And since the car is going to be gone, it'll just be eating and sealing. She actually even said the other day, oh, I hate this couch. They're going to have to fucking cut her off that couch. She has been living on it, sleeping on it, and storing her trash on it for quite a while. So she blocked you on Kick for advice. She doesn't want to hear it. She wants support, regardless of her decisions, of whether or not they're maybe good or bad, whether or not they're not too thought through. When she's made up her mind about something stupid, she will not be swayed. And then when those kind of crackpot scams she has invariably fall through, she acts really indignant, like no one could have seen it coming. Yes, driving is too much, yes, Kelga. It is. She said she doesn't want to be out traveling because she can't be near a bathroom. Let's have some disclosure. Okay, hi Jay. It's not uncommon for people who have problems with incontinence of whatever kind to wear undergarments that will allow them to not have to limit their activities, but be able to do what they do. She treats her body like a speed bump. I'm sure her GI tract is shot, and there's probably snack bars all the way down through her large intestine on the way out. But she's making herself sicker. And when you do it to yourself, people aren't that interested in helping. I used to drink and do some other things, and I was big. But when you're hurting yourself, and people try to offer support and say, I'm here for you. You don't need to do this to yourself. How can I help? And turn around and say, leave me alone. I'm fine. Don't bother me. Get away. And then she will turn toe and say, see, I knew you'd all abandon me. Did this whole relationship mean nothing to you? Yes, colonoscopy bees. The only good thing about the colonoscopy is the sedation. It's like the twilight they throw you into to do it. Which you'd have to put me into Twilight to make that happen. So Chantal filming, and in the end it was chaos all along. That thing with and again, it's worth saying that Natter had what he thought we said was a picture of Chantal from behind, which is not okay to share. It did kind of, I think for a lot of people, confirm that like, oh yeah, she's probably sleeping with her ex. She's the kind of person that would, even if her ex was on to somebody else now, that she would. And she would lie about it, because it's when something is nobody's business, it's okay to lie. When I have to lie, I have to. You don't understand. I can't tell the truth, or people will mess my life up and get too personal and whatever. So stop with the relationship drama if you don't want to talk about it. That's all that is. Do a vlog if you must, if you're having problems with incontinence. Do all the best places to shit for free in Ottawa. I used to know all the places in Philadelphia where you could pee for free, which is difficult because pretty much anywhere you go anymore, except for the library, you have to buy something or you can't stay and you can't use the bathroom. There's only like a handful of places left in society where you can go do that. So, so yeah, let's just follow her around and check out bathrooms of the Arctic North. The problem with Chantal doing these kind of back and forth fights and stuff, this social media is her only income. A lot of us have other jobs, part-time, full-time, some folks on disability, some folks retired. There's a lot of ways people live. But Chantal is purely reliant on YouTube to give her the money she needs. And Kik will spread out and say over social media. That's well is going to run dry at some point. And she hasn't had a real job in, what do we want to say, 8 years? 7, 8 years probably. She left the one and there was the lull and she started doing mukbangs and she found her perverts and the rest is history, I guess. Chantel's very different now than when she started. She was nicer. At least on the outside, she was nicer. She was a little more concerned with her appearance. And don't give me the Muslim shit. I know it's an excuse to not put on makeup. The same way the hijab. It's easier to fake Muslim than to find a nice wig. So, and you can't tell me I don't feel love for Allah. You're not in my head. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes here. So she wants always to be given the benefit of the doubt that her intentions are good. When you can sniff it out that her intentions aren't good, they're usually self-serving. She needs to get one of her needs met and she will manipulate and twist to get that. Now it's rage after rage, which means, and McDonald's in the car while either raging or crying, something's going to give. McDonald's is the bellwether. Something's going to give. And it's going to be bigger than, I think, some other things that have come up. Because she's comforting herself. She's talking about herself. She's trying to, I think, probably reassure herself. But if I'm anything like Chantal, and unfortunately I have some personality things that used to be close to that, she will hold on to that relationship long after it's over. It's probably over now with her and Salah, but she's not going to let it go. She can't. Even if you do break up with her, let's say you've gone out for 6 months. If you do break up with her and she finds out you're going out with somebody else within a week, she's offended as though she still has territory. It's not tag your men for migratory purposes. They're not your territory. If someone dumps you or you dump them, that's it. You don't get to have a say over what they do with their life after that. To think that you did, it means you seriously misunderstand boundaries and how that works. If Mark and I broke up, messy breakup, and I was like, oh well, he's probably over it, and I kept calling and I kept bothering and I'm checking his accounts and I'm seeing if he's looked at the messages I sent yet. The relationship is over. All of that is just extra noise. Unless you honestly think you can reconcile. But Chantal gets caught telling lies and sets up more lies to kind of offset it. So she'll, not lie, just not say, is what she'll be trying to, I think, put behind her. But BB was nicer. BB was the nicest one. Or it's possible he wasn't nice, but we heard a lot less about him. Only a couple times do I remember BB being on camera. She had a video titled Eating with My Annoyed Boyfriend, and that was the first to the face that you could see of BB. Milan was his real name. And he'd be in the back sometimes playing video games and whatnot, or going to work. And she was always just kind of sitting, hanging out, eating. And he didn't seem to mind her, but he didn't seem to like her either. That couple, if you remember Thanksgiving, and it was the last Thanksgiving BB had spent with her and her family. So they were all hanging out, and this was before BB and her were officially over. Grabs the camera, front, BB's here, and she's like, hey buddy, leans in to give him a kiss, and he kisses her, and it's the most excited looking, don't want to be near you, don't make me do this. I was cringing for her because he didn't want to kiss her. And I was cringing for him because he was such a nice guy. He probably would. Yeah, they had, the Mafe video, yeah. She makes that a lot, the peanut butter stew type dish. But no, they had no chemistry. I can't imagine that they were having a very full romantic life. But you never know. I mean, more unlikely people have done things like that. But BB was just around. He was less than Pete's, because BB wouldn't go on adventures. He's not going to go out with her garbage picking and do all that shit. He had an actual life. He didn't quit his job to live off of her revenue. It wasn't really in the spot that he could do that at that time. So he had his own stuff going. She did say that when they broke up, she left shit there as an excuse to go back. All she has to do is get into your apartment, but you want to get rid of her, you got to get all her shit out. And if she bought you anything, you got to give her that back too. Even if she puts it in a dumpster. The principle is the relationship meant nothing, so everything I gave you meant nothing. I'm surprised she'll have an itemized list of all the things that Sala owes her for the privilege of being in her presence for so many years. God, where are we at? They break. So yeah, if she stopped relationship drama, eating, and health, there's nothing left to talk about. The eating and health is kind of slashed with TOS. She can only speak about certain things in a certain context. Kick, I think, is not, it's not Thunderdome, but the rules are maybe a little bit different there. Using the chat as content. So like we're all here talking. Hello, everyone. There's 162 of you in here. This is the most people I've had in a live in 3+ years. So thank you all. Thank you lurkers in the back. Thank you mods for being here and for all the comments. Thumbs up if you got a chance. It's a nice place to be. So, beaters. Excuse while I do my notes. Using the chat as content. So as I was saying, we're talking, we're hanging out. I have some notes, so I'm sort of prepared, extemporaneously prepared presentations is kind of what I like to do. Have some bullet points, have a bit of direction, and then share it from there. So she doesn't. She just kind of goes off on a loose rant when she's doing that. But what exactly do you call it when she comes to sit at the chat and just talks? Now, if I said, hey guys, Q&A chit chat with me and Mark, of course the live's going to be full of questions and all that kind of stuff. And if you're her, you're just going to refuse to answer everything because that's just how she is. But coming in and saying, hey guys, what's up? And then nothing. And letting the chat lead the video. If the video has no point, if it's just hanging out or at home, whatever she labels it, that means that you should expect for her to look away most of the time, play with her phone, and then periodically a comment will be insulting to her in some way, and she will freak out about it because that is how she is. Let's see, what else we got here? Again, she was pissed. People would rather see something a little more. It was Melissa Etheridge. Tell me, does she love you like the way I love you? And she was singing this. Can you imagine how pathetic that entire situation was? Chantal is sitting in her car at 3 a.m. outside of Natter's apartment, blasting music about how no one could love him better than her. Are you serious? No. So I don't know many creators who insist they are creating something interesting, even though the actual feedback says otherwise. So Chantal used to make some interesting videos. You know, she had the creepypasta ones, which I thought were cool. And I still maintain my favorite Yaba video, because I don't really do Yaba like that. But back in the day when she was doing straight up just regular reactions, where the picture's here and I'm talking like this. I did like my favorite video of hers is when she reviewed the Cheese Graveyard, which was making reference to the Heaven's Gate cult. And Chantal told that story with a pink wig. And I think a lot of people took exception to it because it was, you know, mass suicide. So it's not exactly the lightest topic to have over dinner, no matter what your interests are. So the time warps were good. And the makeup videos were good. She just doesn't have enough of an audience for that kind of stuff. And so since it's her job, she's got to do what the people want. You know, she's got to cater to the crew. So, but again, trying to feign modesty. Modest Miriam, of course, trying to feign that kind of modesty shows quick for someone like her because it confirms the obvious. The hijab's an outfit. She would behave differently out of it than in. She has. So it's mostly for her because I don't think she could be in a hijab, a burqa, a snuggie, a swimsuit. If he doesn't like your person, and this is for a lot of people, Chantal, so just, you know, if your partner doesn't like your personality, it's not going to matter what you look like. It's not going to make a difference. I mean, bottom line, if you're thinking share my life with this person, there's more important things to be on. Chantal wanted just a side piece. She just wanted a guy who she thinks that her being with Salva, she thinks says something about her. And it does, but not what she believes. She thinks it's proof that a handsome man who's in control in this can actually make it happen. You know what I would have liked so much more is Chantal being real, moving to the Middle East because she's on an adventure that she probably can't have. And if the truth about Salah was more believable, maybe more humble, that he did have a job. Look, if he was just going to lay bricks or do whatever he was doing, that's honest work. You don't have to build him up into be something he's not, because then he's expected to perform at that level. If you say he has a fragrance empire and make it all big and bad, and then it turns out that he has like, Febreze that you get it. It's always the not Dollar Tree, but like the dollar store at the mall. So she puts that on him to be a whatever because she needs that lie to present as true. So he seems like more of a catch. He didn't seem like a catch when she got there, and I think they were sharing the bottom bunk of his bed. So she did improve his lifestyle, whether she paid for it or not. I would say probably she did, to upgrade him. But that's leverage. That's not a gift from your loving wife. That's leverage to be used later. Oh, he had all sorts of shit going. Oh, and he was adding 2 new businesses to where he lives. Now, all in context, when she brought home the fast food KFG, if that's a measuring stick for how slowly things are coming back together, then it's going to be a minute. And I just know the family doesn't like her. And they don't want her to come back. He said she's not welcome in Syria with his family. You're not welcome at my house. And I can't even take pictures for you of the new place that I'm living or the renovations that were done. That was a suggestion that he's living somewhere else at the moment, for good or for short or whatever, but that he has left Syria. Now, I would have to look at Salah with a little bit of side-eye because, okay, he was living in Kuwait, went back and reconvened with his family, cousins, aunties, potential partners, Sasa, the whole group there. So if he has the opportunity to leave and then go to Canada, what does it say about him that he would ditch his whole family and just go? Now, granted, he could be a bit more adventurous. Salah would do a lot more with her passport than just that. He would travel and see other places. Part of what she sold him on was, we're going to be a travel vlog. We're going to be huge. We're going to go to exotic places and climb Mount Everest. And not so much. Not going to work. She was mad that the chat suggested they were bored. If you leave, you'll be replaced. That's another Chantalism, which totally builds camaraderie with the chat, right? Treat everyone like they're disposable. This is why no one likes you. This is it. And it would be very easy for her to say they don't like fat women. They talk shit about all fat women. No, they don't. A lot of them they do, but not all of them. And fat is the last thing people criticize her for. She's fat. That's not a crime. Is she fat because she's lazy? That feels a little more like you did it to yourself. Does she have PCOS? Some things are out of your hands. You get the cards that you're dealt. But you don't think he's in the chat. You think it's a mod posing as him. It's been suggested. It has been. And his English has accelerated his ability to type, I guess, in English. Because he was coming back with responses popping into her chat with things that are like totally not how he would say or like he would say. You can tell when Chantal's trying to craft the image of a romantic relationship without it actually being there. Example, Malaysia. Malaysia was going to be a trip from Salah to her for her birthday until the 5 seconds he landed in the chat. All of a sudden then it was, at least that's what I want, wishful thinking, teehee. So if he didn't pop in the chat, everyone would have been led to believe that Salah was planning a trip and that he was going to pay for all of it and that she was the princess receiving it. But it didn't all kind of shake out like that so much. So, I don't know. I don't know so many creators who insist on creating something when the actual feedback is usually like, it's fake news, it's not real. What you're talking about isn't happening. You're making shit up and trying to sell it as real. Now, here in the West, some places do that particularly well, even at levels of government, where I will convince you that what you saw didn't happen. The gaslight thing. Exactly, it's the attitude. There's bigger women with nicer husbands and more fulfilling lives. So if it's not the weight getting in the way, what is it? That would be for her to sort out. Ideally with a therapist, she doesn't see the thing. Unless the therapist has a free brunch, I don't think she's going to go. She doesn't really think she needs to change in any meaningful way. For someone like Chantal to change where she has impact from her mental health and addiction and personality. Let's not forgive everything. Plenty of people with mental health concerns that aren't unmitigated assholes anytime they get defensive. Chantal is one of those folks. I'm not a diagnosing professional, but you could Google a few of them and probably land, or you may know someone and think, Chantal acts like this person I know, and that person has a diagnosis of this, that. I don't want to hear it. I have type 1 bipolar with psychotic features, okay? There's people with worse, more challenging roads to recovery than that. So I understand the mentals, and I get the mentals. And I think for maybe an afternoon, the mentals are what it is. Take some time for yourself. Even though she's not super social because she's isolated, she is interacting quite a bit. So if she could just... Her being alone like this happened, I think, during COVID. It's wine o'clock. Now we can't see each other in person, so we're just going to all talk to each other and drink at home. I guess that's like kind of social, but yeah, the mentals aren't going to be what kills her. It's the physical stuff that will. But I have very little... there's a lot of evidence that people with mental health problems get well, that people with substance use problems get sober, that people who are morbidly obese get thin. All of that's out there for her, but she just doesn't, I mean, she doesn't think she's worth the effort, I guess. I hate to paint her as having like a low self-esteem or something like that, because that's just one more thing that she would try to manipulate to get pity. She'd be the first woman who purposely rolled down Mount Everest. I don't think she can make her way up with the little... She might want to get something with rubber wheels if she's going to be climbing mountains and shit like that. So, I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover for the most part. ChatGPT is not a friend or a doctor. Don't mistake that. Blowing up at Beezers because of very innocuous questions is not cool. If I ask how's Sala and you decide that me asking that is threatening because I might be a woman and I might be thinner or younger or thinner and I'm insecure about him talking to other people, if he can't say hello to somebody. I mean, when the one person in the chat sent the devil ears on top of on the emoticon that was sent, and she flipped the camera and flipped her shit immediately. Nobody has time for that. Nobody has time for that. Who wants to have their past brought up constantly to them? Chantal, you know how you hate it when the Beezers do it to you? Sala hates it when you do it to him. So look inside a little, see what your part may be. I don't think if this ever was a relationship that it's salvageable at this point. Breathlessness. Her breathing, I mean, I'm not a hater. I do review her. I don't, but she looks like she needs to be under observation. Her skin is absolutely purple. She can't walk from the kitchen to the couch. And this isn't like, oh, if she wasn't so fat. Honey, you're getting sick. Like sick. This isn't about bigger clothes. This is going to be about mobility. It's going to be about the difference between washing your own ass with your own hand and having to have someone do it for you. Now, Chantal doesn't seem to mind disability as long as she can sit. So, that would be just one more thing. Before she lost the ability to bathe herself, she'd get someone to come help her do it. She'd have somebody else, because she can't take care of herself. Somebody else has to. She acknowledged she can't even really walk anymore, and she did. Which is unfortunate. But, I mean, she's made her own bed. She's going to have to lie in it. Or her bumless couch, or whatever she lies in. And have to see. Oh, also quick check-in. BG, she sings this song about the cat that would bend nails. She can't really sing very well, and no one wants to hear about the cat. And the shrieking, and the cat off camera trashing her place, climbing a screen close to the top of a window that's 19 floors down. So, the cat's a prop. It's supposed to show that someone likes her. She makes it a point to say not how much she loves the kitties, but how much they like her. Because again, proof of love. See? The animals like me. The song is toddler level. Yeah. The cat vocalizations, I can't really do that. You get irrationally annoyed with her saying BG-13 in French. Wow. The cat does want out, and you blame it. And Julia is just fine with Sala. She would have rode in his lap all the way from Kuwait to Syria. So he's willing to do that. He likes Julia enough to do that. Because if he was a bastard, he would have just opened the door, let her go out when they left. So I'll give him a little bit of, for that. But I think because of that, she probably likes him better. Chantal likes anything that likes her, for the most part. Whether it's pets, people, men. You like her, she's into you. So, I don't know. So stop screeching about the cat, please. More love and attention, and for God's sake, yes, we are getting into Life by Jen territory. And Jen went down quick. When she started to get sick, she was gone like that. She wasn't able to survive. I mean, she had COVID, which I'm sure didn't help. But, when a person's body is under so much stress and distress, it can only take so much. It can only take so much. And Chantal has a condition that's highly treatable. Obesity is highly treatable. Mental health concerns are highly treatable. But the effort in getting well, in getting thinner, in getting saner is not worth it to her. She'd rather just chase dopamine by scrolling, eating, using substances, and picking fights. And again, with Salah, as long as they're fighting, it's not really over. As long as we're divorcing, we haven't divorced yet. Which means I can get jealous, he shouldn't talk to anyone, when we already said in Chantal times, he can't talk to anyone for a month. Or that says to her, did the love mean nothing to you? You don't get to ask that manipulative shit after you caused the breakup. You can't. What? Did I mean anything to you ever? That's some straight up borderline bullshit, is what it is. And it's not cute. No wonder they don't want to talk to her again. So we're going to leave it there. My cheese croissant was only nibbled at, so we'll have that for dinner, maybe with a side of mate. And I'm going to finish my tea, have a soda, and then this is that. This is that. Oh, yeah. Oh, discomfort. She doesn't do discomfort. You're right. The part of getting well is being uncomfortable. You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. So you get used to your skin kind of crawling. You get used to racing thoughts. And then as time goes on, you start to put some distance. And you don't say, I'm anxious. You say, I'm having some anxiety. So there's an I. I'm not the illness. I am a person experiencing X, Y, or Z. So all of that is moot because Chantal just wants to get high, eat, and sleep with homeless men. So I suspect the croissants had an ulterior motive. If you follow Chantal's history, you know. So thank you all for joining me today, full house, and thank you all for watching. Please do subscribe if you'd be so inclined. Hit the thumbs up as well. We have memberships available for $2.99 a month, and you get access to member streams, member posts and chats, things like that. We have one, I think, coming up this next week. We might be doing a member live. It might involve food too, so I'll double check with Mark. Thank you all for being here. Always a good time. Thank you, lurkers, mods, and chatters, and we will catch up with you very soon. So y'all be safe, y'all be well, and we'll talk. All right? Bye. Say goodbye, Mark. He's in the garden. Bye, everybody.